Top down, smoking on a fat cigar. Cool breeze in my head, bittersweet smoke flying through the air. It's the way I feel, smoking on a fat cigar.
All right, everybody, that was Jeff Pitchell's Fat Cigar you were listening to, and that means it's time for Not Just Blowing Smoke, coming at you live from Twin Smoke Shop studio headquarters in Hooksett, New Hampshire. Be sure to subscribe to us on Podbean, iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, Google, basically anywhere you get your podcast from. I'm Pastor Padron. I'm here with my co-hosts, Paul, Nick, and Dave. Hello. Down there on the end. And we are very excited to have a very special guest with us tonight, fourth generation tobacconists, Erik Stokkebye. How you doing, Erik? Thank you.
I'm doing great, and thanks for having me on board on your show.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, advertising, branding, building name recognition, those are all things that work together to create consumer desire and cultivate expectation for premium cigars and tobacco. But just how much influence does all that have on the consumer's experience and impression of what they're smoking? Tonight, we're going to be doing some of our own experiments to find out. And we're going to start first by smoking a new blend of Erik's. None of us has had it before. We don't know what it is or what's in it. Erik will let us know that a little bit later on in the show, but it's going to end up kind of being like one of those Food Network competitions, I think. Is the panel of NJBS going to like what Erik serves up? We're going to find out. So let's light up here. And while I'm lighting my pipe, Paul, why don't you give us your first impressions of what it is you're smoking there?
Well, first of all, it's a very, very smooth, I want to say it's a Virginia-based tobacco. And I'm getting a lot of nice subtle fruits, some bread notes, a little bit of hay.
Hey now.
Hey now. just a very, 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 very smooth, mild to medium tobacco is what I'm getting.
Nick, what about you?
I'm also getting the same subtle fruit tastes, little bread note in there. I'm also getting a little bit of spice on the retrohale, maybe some perique in there. That's what I'm thinking. Really nice room note. Just kind of going back and forth with the drink as well. The Scotch is kind of bringing out a little bit more of the sweet note, the Virginias that are in there. Really nice. David?
Yep, I concur with everything that's been said already. I'm definitely getting some of the fruit notes and the bread and hay. Getting that spice in the retrohale. I think the drink, the pairing is definitely bringing out the little bit of that spice in the retrohale a little more.
Yeah, and we're all drinking something different tonight because we didn't know what we were smoking tonight, so we just decided to kind of clean out the cupboard.
The cupboard, yeah, the cupboard.
The cupboard?
I think I'm Dave.
You think you're Dave? Spending a little too much time with Dave, Paul?
Busted it.
The liquor cabinet.
Busted it. Nice.
We busted it out the liquor cabinet.
So I've got the, what do I have?
You've got the Knob Creek
Knob Creek 12-year.
12-year. Nick's got the Game of Thrones single malt Scotch.
Yep.
Dave has the Redemption Rye Bourbon. And I got the 724 Woodford Reserve.
Nice.
Nice.
Grab those things. And Erik, I believe, has coffee.
I have coffee. I'm just a boring guy.
There's nothing wrong with coffee and pipe. That goes very well. So I think this is a definitely a Virginia-based blend too. I sense some Perique in here.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely got those fruit notes, hay, wood. There's some nice raisiny, figgy stuff going on, which
Oh,
I
yeah.
think is from Perique. Very, very smooth. I really
Yeah.
like this flake a lot.
It's not a. I'd say probably maybe a light plus, light to medium.
Light to medium? Well,
Yeah,
light
the
to medium to
smooth-
you is more like medium to everybody else on the
That's
earth.
very true. That's very true. It's very smooth and
It
elegant.
is very smooth.
It's got some complexity there that I'm really enjoying. How about you, Danny?
Yeah, definitely. It's to me, it's the Virginias in here are really playing well with each other, and I'd say it's medium bodied. What would you think, Paul?
Medium at best. I'm going to say mild to medium. I think it's
Yeah.
starting to open up a little bit more. Definitely getting a little bit more spice in the retrohale now than I did in the beginning. But everything else is playing very, very well together. The fruits, the hay, the bread notes, all in sync.
Oh yeah.
Really, really smooth.
All right. So first question, Eric, are we tasting things that we should be tasting with whatever this is?
Yes, you are. You're pretty much spot on.
Yeah.
All right.
So it is a flake. It is a Virginia flake.
Yep. This is
Which-
the bag you gave me back
Yeah.
in September. Right there.
Yeah, Virginia flake with some mature Virginias and just a pinch of Perique. So, like I said, you're pretty much spot on.
All right. So
And yeah,
what actually is it now? Why don't you tell us what it is?
well, we just launched 3 bulk tobaccos. And this is the one we call the evening flake. We call it the 3 blends. We call them kind of the pipe tobacco for the day. And the morning blend is a aromatic on the mild side with a pinch of bourbon in there. But just kind of very pleasant, very mild, and just good for the mornings, I think. And then we have what we call the afternoon melange, which is a English blend with a good portion of Latakia and some mature Virginias as well, and a little bit of black Cavendish in there. Really, a really very, very good, high quality English blend. And then the last one, the evening flake, is what you've been smoking right now. So again, mostly Virginias, mature Virginias. When I say mature, it's it's leaf that comes from kind of the middle of the stalk on the tobacco plant. Which has generally the most sugars, and so we'll have some natural sweetness to it, and then a pinch of Perique as well.
Now, I would think, most people would think that the evening smoke would be the English blend.
Yeah.
You've made it the afternoon. Why is this the evening blend?
I always felt that, personally, I prefer a flake in the evening because flake generally tend to be a little bit heavier than an English blend or than an aromatic. And I think kind of like at the end of the day, I personally like something that's a little bit heavier, maybe with a drink or two. And so, I felt the flake should be kind of the last blend on the day's agenda. I think that in English is, for me, suits well in the afternoon, maybe after lunch or thereabouts. So, but that's just personal taste. I know a lot of pipe smokers, they may prefer it otherwise, but it was my decision.
Ultimately, it was his decision.
You are the man.
He is.
You're the reigning Stokkebye.
Yeah.
Now that brings up the what's a real obvious thing to talk about here. You come from very long, storied family tradition that goes back, well over 100 years of being in the pipe business. You want to fill our listeners in on a little bit of that history here, so that they understand the immense honor they have today of listening to your greatness?
Well, thank you, Dan. I feel you're putting me onto more than I am, but anyway, yes, we do have, it is 4 generations in the tobacco business, family business, and it started with my great grandfather in the town of Odense in Denmark. Back in 1882, he started the business, and back then, pipe tobacco was certainly somewhat popular, but what was also popular was nasal snuff, some cigars, and so he really had production of a little bit of everything. He did nasal snuff, he did some cigars, and he did a little bit of pipe tobacco as well. But that's how it got started. And back in the, let's say, late 1800s, there was a lot of smaller manufacturers in Denmark, Germany, Holland, England. And, that's really when tobacco use became very popular, particularly, obviously, among men. And, men would gather after dinner, and then they will have a cigar, or they will have a pipe bowl, or they'll have a nasal snuff or something like that. So that's it became very popular, and in the town of Odense at that time, which is the 3rd largest town in Denmark, still relatively small compared to the U.S. cities, but it was even smaller at that time. But there was probably 20 or 30 different smaller manufacturers at that time, and it was just a very popular thing to do, is to produce various tobacco products. So he had a factory in the back, and then he had a retail store in the front, and so he sold his product through his resale stores, and that was pretty much how it was sold at that time. So fairly limited, but a start. So my grandfather got into the business in the early 1920s, and he was sent abroad. He was sent via a Dutch company to Indonesia, where he became a plantation manager for cigar tobacco grown in Indonesia, which I'm sure Indonesia still grows a lot of cigar tobacco. But this was in the 1920s, and it was a long voyage out there. It took like 2 months to sail out there from Denmark, and he went out there first. My grandmother followed him later, and it was quite a adventure. I remember my grandfather used to tell me that my next door neighbor was a cannibal, and so it was definitely, back when, traveling was a big adventure, and going to Indonesia was even bigger. It was very powerful, very rich on experiences, and very different. But so he really became a cigar man because of his experience there. So when he returned, or him and my grandmother returned to Denmark, he really decided to, so they returned, I think, like the late 1920s. And that's really when cigar production, cigar consumption was picking up. And he decided to change most of the manufacturing process, or most of the products that they produced, into cigars. And he became quite successful at it. And he was definitely, a cigar man. I remember that, he had at least 5 or 6 cigars every day. And one of the things that he did, or one of his claim to fame, I should say, was that he used to send Winston Churchill some cigars, and Winston Churchill sent him back, kind letters, thank you for the cigars, and blah, blah, blah. And we have probably a stack of 20 letters from Winston Churchill. Thanking my grandfather. So that was kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, kind of cool, kind of different. So he was more. I mean, he did smoke an occasional pipe, but it was more cigars.
Okay.
My father, Peter, got into the business in the mid 1950s, and he was sent abroad to the U.S. to work. To work in the fields of tobacco fields of North Carolina, Tennessee, Maryland, places like that. Okay. And when he returned to Denmark, the late 1950s, early 1960s is really when pipe tobacco was starting to pick up. And so he decided to really focus on pipe tobacco. And he became, or the factory, really the company, became, after his after his doing, became more pipe tobacco oriented. There was still some cigar production left, but that was eventually fizzled out, and so my father really focused a lot on pipe tobacco. And he started exporting to the United States in the early 1970s, and that was really his first entry into the U.S. market.
Right.
So that's kind of the 3 of the 4 generations. Yeah. And I joined later and became part of it.
Now, did you grow up in Denmark, or did you grow up in the States?
No, I did grow up in Denmark, but I kind of went through the same ordeal as my father. So when I was 17, after high school in Denmark, my father asked me if I wanted to go to the United States and learn about leaf tobacco. And I said, sure, absolutely. And so they sent me over here, and I spent, like him, time in North Carolina, Tennessee, and Kentucky, and for a year, where I learned all about leaf tobacco, Virginia's and Kentucky tobacco. And they sent me to grading school, where you learn how to grade the different Virginia leaves, and the same with Kentucky tobacco. So after the year, I headed back home and went back to school for a couple of years. But it was a very interesting experience for me. I was a young kid, and I had a hard time understanding a lot of the people in the Appalachian Mountains who came down to work in the leaf tobacco factories, and because I came with my English schooling, school English, and they didn't understand what I was saying. I didn't understand what they were saying. So it was a lot of finger and hand gesturing. So, but it was fun. Great
too.
experience.
Oh my God! So you were excited about getting involved in the business at a very early age.
Yes, I mean, I was, and it was kind of, Dan, it was kind of, I think it was my calling. When I was 8 years old, my father used to take me to my grandfather's factory and help out on Saturdays. That's when people worked on Saturdays, say in the factories and so forth. So, he took me in there and, I slept boxes from one floor to another and helped out the best that I could. And that's really how I got involved in the tobacco business. And, it's just really been, it's just been that ever since. So, I don't know much better, but I do love the industry. I do love I have a big passion for it, and it's been a good life. It really has.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
now, I don't know about you. I'm sure you have, but I am often asked the question, why pipe smoking? Dan, isn't it a dying hobby? Or pipe smoking is just so much work. I just can't get into it. I mean, what are your answers to some of those questions about why? I mean, why would you go into a business that's so many people say is just, so fringe? I'm right with you there. I mean, I'm the manager for pipes and tobacco for Twins in both stores, and I've been smoking a pipe for 20 something years. What are your answers for people who, is pipe smoking making a comeback, do you think?
I don't know if it's making a comeback, but I mean, to go back then, I entered the business, back in the mid-70s, off and on a little bit, and really got into it in the late 80s. And at that time, the business was a pretty substantial business. It was a big business in the early 1970s, late 1960s. It was, let me give you an example. The brands Skoal and Copenhagen by U.S. Tobacco, right? Back in the 1960s or 70s, when U.S. Tobacco was the importer of a brand called Borgen Riff. Borgen Riff was the biggest brand for U.S. tobacco at that time. So they were selling more pipe tobacco during that time that they were selling smokeless tobacco. So pipe tobacco was big and it was huge. And so when I entered the business, it was still a pretty decent business. It has since declined. It's declined substantially, unfortunately. But I think that what I'm seeing now is that, there's a lot of younger guys who like to pick it up, some of them because their grandfather may have been a pipe smoker. And, they think there's something unique, there's something, something unique and different about smoking a pipe versus enjoying other smoking. So these guys, they do it a lot for the getting together. It's as a social thing. So they're not like an everyday necessary smoker, but they may smoke 2 or 3 times a week. Compared to like going back 30 or 40 years ago, pipe smokers, they smoked all day, so that was really, it was an all day situation. So younger guys are, that I've talked to them, they really like it. They're into it, but they're not volume smokers, if you will. And so I think there is definitely younger men who would like to and do smoke a pipe, and they really enjoy it, but it's not the same as in terms of volume of what it was 30 or 40 years ago. But I think it's good. At the end of the day, it's good to see that somebody is passionate about it. And I think, if we look down maybe 20 years, 30 years down the road, I think the pipe smoker is going to be around, but it may be a little bit less. So that's kind of my philosophy,
Sure.
Shoot me if I'm wrong.
No, I can jive with a lot of what you said. We have a very decent pipe club here that meets at Twins on a monthly basis, and we do have a lot of younger people in that group. If everybody showed up at once, there'd probably be somewhere between 25 or 30 people.
Yeah.
And
right.
And they range anywhere from early 20s to about 70. And some of the people who are in their mid 20s have been smoking longer than some of the older people who are there. I mean, they're very passionate about it. And the events that we've been doing since we started Pipe Club up again, and Twins a couple of years ago, really wanted to take advantage of the fact that other smoke shops in the area, other cigar shops, were not doing anything with pipes at all. And so even though it is kind of a these days kind of a niche market, since nobody was really doing it seriously, why not do it really seriously and take advantage of that? And we've really seen a significant number of people start coming through the doors, and when we do pipe events, when we do events around that whole thing, they do very well and compete with the cigar related events that we do. I think shops miss out when they're not taking advantage of that. I've always described it as when people ask me that question, I'll say, look, pipe smoking and cigar smoking, it's the difference between driving an automatic and a standard.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
There's more work to driving a standard, but once you have learned to drive a standard transmission car, you may really enjoy driving that car a whole lot more than an automatic because of all the extra control you have. You may enjoy that extra work. And when you're smoking a pipe, you have so much more control over what is going on. You have control of the tastes, the flavors, the draw. Do you like it looser? Do you like it tighter? That's up to you. Do you want a 15-minute smoke? Do you want an hour and a half?
Right.
It's all up to you. And
that
I see too.
I think you're right, Dan. The other element I think is that, here you have not only the tobacco, but you also have the pipe area, or the pipe, which I think a lot of these guys are intrigued about, because it's like it's a hobby almost. It's a lifestyle. So you have two elements. You have the tobacco and you have the pipe, and I think that's what a lot of these guys find intriguing.
Yeah, you can personalize what you're doing so much more with a pipe.
Yeah.
And that whole individualistic mindset is so very popular today. I think that's why a lot of younger people are coming back to pipes. And I've often said too that when you're smoking a cigar, enjoying a cigar, you're taking somebody's finished piece of work and you're enjoying it. With a pipe, you're taking somebody's finished piece of work, the pipe. You're taking somebody's finished piece of work, the tobacco, and then you're adding to it. You're preparing the tobacco the way that you like. You're packing the pipe the way that you like, and you then become part of the final process. It's kind of a way to get more involved in the experience of enjoying the tobacco. I really enjoy that.
I agree.
Well, thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nick. Now, here you were in your family's business doing all this stuff, and then all sorts of stuff kind of happened, and then when you did, what brought you to the point where starting your own thing became the idea?
It was really I used to work with a gentleman down here in Carolina. He was a marketing advertising guy, and I worked with him for 10 years, maybe longer, 12 years. We talked about, just for fun, we talked about, you should start something based on your family's heritage. And I said, yeah, maybe. And so we were just kind of shooting the breeze about it. And then, this whole thing just got together. And, the more we talked about it, the more we thought about it, this could be a good idea. And so in 2012, I decided to put my words to action and came out with 4 tobaccos. And and haven't looked back since. So it was really, it was kind of a tribute, a dedication to my family in the business, and I just thought it could be fun.
Yeah,
Do that because there's not, the business today is controlled, as Dan, that controlled by big corporations, big companies, and I think it could be fun. I thought it could be fun to do something that kind of dedicated to a family's life in the world of tobacco. So that was kind of the thought process behind it.
Now that leads to another really good question here. I think what's it like being you're really a boutique maker of tobacco with the 4th gen. You've got 6 or 8 blends that are out there, plus these 3 bulks that you're just coming out with. And yet we've talked in the past about how most of the manufacturers now are all kind of owned by major conglomerates and stuff like that. What's it like being a really boutique?
I think it's fun. I really do. I mean, it's a challenge at times, of course, but it's fun, and it's fun to put your passion into your work, and that's really what I do. And that there's not a lot of brands today where you can put some history, some family heritage behind a brand of somebody who's been in it for over 100 years, and so I think that's the fun part, and it's it's fun. It's fun to come up with some new products, and just dedicate your work, your passion to this one brand. I think it's a lot of fun. But again, it's not, this is not going to be the Captain Black of the 2000 whatever. But that's okay. That it was never meant to be. So it was meant to be more of a boutique type of brand that for pipe smokers who are really into something unique and good quality, and from when it comes to tobaccos and pipes and so forth. So that's what it was meant to be.
Now, what to you makes your 4th gen blends stand out from the pack? I mean, why should people try? They have so many choices out there.
Right.
What should drive people to try some of the 4th generation blends?
Well, it's something that I've been personally involved in developing, and I've developed a lot of pipe tobaccos during my years, and so I like to think that something that I put my name behind is something that pipe smokers would want to try and hopefully like. If not, at least they tried it. So so that's really, I think that's my answer. That it's something that I'm 100% behind, and it's I know it's good quality. They're good smokes, and it's something that I put a lot of work and effort into.
How involved are you in the blending process?
Well, I am involved in the original blending process, on the original decision on which blends it should be. Once that's settled, once the decision is made on what blends and what we finally net it down to, then I'm not really much more involved in that. Then it becomes a a manufacturing process. But initially, I'm definitely very much involved. So,
Where are your blends made?
they are made in Denmark, and by good companies, and somebody I have a long time relationship with. So.
Okay. In what sense? Well, no. Before I go there, let's talk to you. Don't just fourth gen is not just about making tobaccos. You also make these fine pipes.
I also, well, I don't make those. So when I started the fourth generation brand, I initially thought about having, the tobaccos, obviously, because that's my background. That's what I know a lot about. But then I thought further that, it could be cool to have pipes that goes along with the tobaccos, and then eventually have accessories as well that goes along with the pipes and the tobaccos. And so about 8 years ago, I was at a event in Alabama, and I met this gentleman called Peter Nerup. At the same event, he was exhibiting his pipes, and I had some tobaccos there, not fourth gen, but I had. So I talked to him. I really liked him. I liked his pipes. I like his quality. And I said, I'm thinking about doing a line of pipes. Would you be interested in doing that for me? And he said, absolutely. So we went back and forth for about 6-9 months with different models, that I would like, and he certainly had his input as well, and then we just came out with, I think initially 4 pipes, 4 models in different shapes and different finishes, and went from there. And it's been really, really enjoyable to work with Peter. He's a high quality pipe maker. He's he stands for his quality. He truly believes in his work, and it's been a very good relationship.
So he's still making your regular line pipes today?
He is making them, yeah. And like I said, it's been a very good relationship. Him and his wife I consider them very good, dear friends of mine. So it's been a lot of fun, and he's very creative too in terms of coming up with new models, and so it's really a partnership between him and I. So.
Well, your pipes, the pipes that you guys come out with are just to me so unique looking, and when you see a fourth generation pipe, that's what it is. I mean, it's, there are I know that Savinelli's, Petersons, those are so popular and everything, and certainly brands that we carry at Twins too, but when you see a fourth gen pipe, instantly that's a 4th gen pipe.
Right.
You've done such a great job of creating these pipes, and then of course the brass bands on there that say 4th generation on them, that just makes them stand out in such a great, classy way.
Yeah.
They're really fantastic pipes.
Yeah, they smoke really well. I mean, I remember when I started with Peter, he gave me a pipe, or I guess the first sample he sent over, and I still have it, and it's like one of my favorite pipes. I mean, he uses briar that's high quality Italian briar, and he's very particular about picking out his briar and so forth. So it's good quality, and the band was another thing that I thought I wanted to do something a little bit different than brass, but or silver. So we decided to go with bronze. So the band is actually made out of bronze, and we have done some different bands. Unique bands here in the past, and we're just about to come out with a new limited edition band as well that's coming here towards Christmas, beginning of the new year. So, and he's working with a jeweler in Copenhagen that makes these really beautiful bands. So that's been another fun part. Very creative.
Danes do good stuff with pipes.
They do. They do. They do. Long history of pipe making. Yeah.
Now, how has being a Stokkebye helped you in your endeavors to bring 4th gen to the market and introduce it to the pipe world and stuff like that?
It's been good. I owe my old man Peter a lot of credit. I mean, he really came to the United States back in the late 70s, early 1980s, and put himself, let's say, on the market here with his tobaccos. And he's every retailer's best friend. Or was, I should say. But he was a fantastic salesperson, and he did a great job, and everybody loved him. So coming behind him, if you will, I can thank him for making it easier for me to launch something new, for sure. Yeah.
Now, what are ways in which it's been a challenge for you to out from your father's shadow and your grandfather's shadow? I think he produced some blends that are still bestsellers today. I know that this flake is going to be compared to some Peter Stokkebye flakes.
Sure.
Have nothing to do with. and people are confused, thinking you're Stokkebye. It must be the same. But how does that work? How do you try and make it your own and not just live on past generation names?
Right. Well, I think that you have to create your own personality. You have to, and you have to be yourself. And my dad and I were certainly different, but we did have a long time great relationship working together. And so I think that I am who I am, and he was who he was, and hopefully people will believe in me if I tell them that I'm coming out with this new blend and you really gonna like it. So I guess that's really what it comes down to. But I think that looking back, I think it's definitely been an advantage to have him putting such a high profile on our name than anything else. So that's how I like to look at it.
Now, you've recently joined up with Rango Cigar Company there, who is going to be distributing your pipes and tobaccos. How did you come into working with them?
Well, I was with this Phillips and King on the West Coast, and we decided to part ways. And so, I talked to Mike Gold, who is the CEO and owner of Barranco Cigar Company, and I've known Mike and his wife Linda for 25, 30 years, long time. So we're, good friends, and I felt that would be a great partnership because, Arango is definitely very focused on pipe tobaccos and pipes with Erik Nording pipes, Chacon pipes. They have a lot great tobaccos, from England and from Germany, and so they're very focused on it. So I thought, I think both Mike and I felt it would be a really good partnership to bring the fourth generation into his fold and go from there. So and so far it's been great.
That's awesome. So the transition's been
Yeah.
as far as those things go, smoothly.
Yes. It's a smaller company that I worked with before, but like I said, definitely very focused on pipe tobacco and pipes, and right up my alley.
That's awesome. Linda's who I work with over there. She's my contact, and only known her for about a year or so, but she seems great.
Yeah, she's a very sweet lady.
Yeah. Now, you're coming out with some new stuff. You told me earlier today.
I am. So we have actually first I should we have a 2012 Virginia Flake,
Nice.
which we just launched. Yeah, Nick, I see you like it, and that's actually what I'm smoking right now.
Okay.
Very nice, just pure Virginia, nothing else. And along with the 2012 pipe tobacco, we're going to have a 2012 pipe.
Ooh, look at that.
So that's coming out here towards the end of the year and in sandblast as well.
Ooh,
So,
That's gorgeous.
yeah. So that's going to be really nice. So hopefully we'll have that in here before Christmas. That's at least what we're hoping. So that's a new things on the pipe side. And then last year we did a limited edition humidor box with a very special Virginia tobacco, and did very well with it. We launched it at the IPCPR in 2019 and sold out pretty quickly. So we decided to do it again this year. I don't know whether it's going to be this year or early part of 2021, but we're going to have fourth generation. It's called PD Kentucky. Ooh. And it's basically a little humidor. Mm-hmm. This is empty. And but it's going to be a sliced kind of rope tobacco. Ooh. PD Kentucky with a lot of good Kentucky tobacco in there, and each box is going to be numbered from 1 to 2,500. So that's the limited edition.
Now, last year the limited edition was something that you and John Galwith, I think,
yes,
made together. Is this with the same collaboration?
It's not with the same manufacturer. It's a new manufacturer in Denmark that we hooked up with, and they're going to be doing this PD Kentucky for us.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, like I said, hopefully, I'm thinking January.
Okay.
So, but
get Sean.
Yeah. Yeah, so we should
absolutely
well with it.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And now for people listening out there, we are doing a pipe show with Erik Stuff and a lot of other things from Orango Cigars this coming Saturday, November 14th from 12 to 4 p.m. 4th Gen Nording Butchukan. There's going to be tons of pipes available, and they're all going to be on sale. It's going to be a great, great time. Not going to want to miss that. And all of Erik's, the 3 new bulk blends
Excellent.
are going to be there. They're all going to be available for people to get at the event as well. And Linda set me up with a display, the 3-jar display
Right.
store.
Okay.
Very glad for that.
Excellent.
She came through with that. That was awesome. What I want to know now is, maybe we've kind of defeated the purpose of this whole blind thing, having this great conversation with Erik, and, but we didn't know what it was. We hadn't smoked it before tonight.
No.
So I guess the question is, does it live up to the hype? Is it all that? Would you buy it again? Would you smoke it again? What do you guys think of this tobacco?
First of all, I would absolutely smoke this again. This could be an all-day smoke for me.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
and any type of spice, the subtle spice that was there in the beginning has been subdued.
Mm-hmm.
It's I believe the pairing is bringing out a little bit more of the fruit tones of the tobacco, picking up a little bit more earthy wood. Still a little bit of the hay in the bread, but the fruit notes have just been the most amazing dominant flavor. And then the retrohale, wow, just super smooth.
Oh yeah,
just fantastic. This is an absolutely all day smoke for me.
Excellent. Glad to hear it.
Yep.
Nick, what do you think?
All day.
All day.
I would smoke this all day. Still, with the Scotch that I'm having, the fruit flavors come through a little bit more. Still getting a nice little zip on the retrohale. That Perique in there, that little touch of Perique is still kind of present. Still have some nice complexity, real nice body, and I guess it lives up to the hype. It's 4th Gen. You're gonna get a good tobacco.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think, Dave? You're the Virginia loving queen around here.
Yes.
We gotta give crown.
Yeah.
And a bodice.
A bodice.
Botis.
No, I'm a lover of Virginias. I love the Virginias. I love the dry fruits, the breads, the haze. The Perique just adds like a perfect retrohale. It's super smooth. It's definitely an all-day smoke for me, and it's definitely going to be in my rotation. That's absolutely true.
Now, I have to ask, this isn't a question that I had written down, but what made you decide to go with bulk blends? I think this is going to be, I think I've had the other 2 bulk blends. They're all really, really good. You're gonna be giving your dad stuff some run for the money, let me tell you.
Good. Glad to hear it.
What made you decide to come out with bulk blends?
Well, I had a lot of inquiries requests for it over the years. And I was kind of said, well, I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to continue the tins. And so, but finally, I guess I broke down and, and I said, okay, we should do this. And I said, but let's do 3 new and different blends, and not what's available in the tins. So that's what we did. And I'm glad we did it because to be honest, a big part of pipe tobacco is sold in bulk in the United States. So that's another good reason for doing it. So hopefully it's just being launched, and hopefully they'll have a nice and good reception by the pipe smokers.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The morning blend, I'll tell you, it's already one of my top aromatics.
Excellent.
That it's got this orange zest kind of aroma to it, to me, and it's just it's not over the top. It's not an over the top aromatic, but it's just enough. That's just that nice fruity, citrusy feeling, and it would go great with a cup of coffee in the morning.
Yes.
Just a fantastic smoke, and the afternoon melange. I'm not a huge Latakia guy. 20 years ago when I started smoking pipes, I was all into the big heavy Latakia stuff. Kind of like everything else, what's the strongest thing you got? Give it to me.
Right.
And so nightcap and all those things, but it kind of burned me out on Latakia. And but the afternoon melange was just so nice.
Good.
Smooth, complex. I mean, I really think they're going to be great. It's kudos, man. I think they're going to be great.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind of words. And I hope so. I hope that they'll be welcomed by pipe smokers. So
we'll certainly be reviewing them at some point in the future on the show. We'd love to have you back to talk about those if you'd be.
Sure. Love to do it. Yes. Anytime.
So that's the end of our first half here. Thanks, Erik, for being with us.
I had one. I saw you had one more question, which I felt was kind of important.
Yes.
And that is, what do you do when I'm not doing the fourth generation stuff?
Oh yes, what do you do when you're not doing? I forgot.
And I'm an avid tennis player. And tennis player, and I would like you to give Sean a message that next time I'm up to see you guys for an event, that I'm going to kick his butt.
All right.
Nice.
I will personally deliver that message.
I don't think it's going to happen, but just tell him that.
I will do that.
I would love to be there when you do it too.
I'll pay for that event.
Are you able to enjoy a pipe while you're playing tennis?
No. But I will tell you a story. When I was younger and when I lived in Denmark and I was playing tennis, I played with a teacher, and this guy, he was a heavy-duty, non-filtered cigarette smoker, and he was still a very good tennis player. Yeah. This guy was such a heavy smoker that he would put his cigarette into the grid of the tennis racket while he was playing in order not to put it out.
Wow.
That's a pretty serious tennis and cigarette smoker.
That is pretty stinking.
Were you playing against John McEnroe? God. It's like John McEnroe right there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, well, thank you.
Anyway, it's been great fun, guys, and thank you for having me on the show, and I really appreciate it, and thanks for all the kind words.
Oh, you're totally welcome.
Absolutely.
Thanks for giving us
tonight.
this preview of the tobacco here, and
that was delicious.
I hope it ends up being good. This is stuff that lives up to the hype.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
We'll do it again.
Okay, sweet.
Okay.
All right. Hang in there, people. We're going to switch over to cigars, refill the glasses, and we'll be right back. Thanks, Erik.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for hanging in there with us. Now we are in our cigar portion of the show. And I asked Sean, our esteemed general manager at Twins, to pick out a cigar for us to smoke blind, something that would match the qualifications for tonight, to pick out a cigar from a well-known brand that people think is awesome, or at the very least, the company that makes it says it should be awesome. The bands from the cigars have been removed, as you can see, and we have no idea what it is. I have no idea what it is. And a little bit later in the show, I will reveal what the cigar is. I have a message on my phone waiting for me to open from Sean that will tell me what the cigar is and all the details of it and everything. But for now, we are smoking this cigar. It is a Toro. It is 6 inches by, we think, 54.
Yeah, that's what it looks.
And it lit up very nice. It had some salty and cocoa flavors to the cold draw. And I'm just getting into it now. But before we get more into the cigar, we have a special pairing with this tonight, Paul. What are we pairing with this mystery stick?
You're going to find out later.
Oh, he's playing hard to get.
It's
So-
we're going to play that. Is it all that?
Is it all that?
Is it all that?
Let's look at this drink.
It's probably Blayton's.
It's
no,
it smells good.
Yeah, tastes good.
and it's Blanton's. No, it's not.
Oh man, that is smooth.
Yes.
Very smooth.
That's definitely a bourbon. I'm
And
thinking 100 proof.
it's got some zip to it. Yes, Nick can sense the proof of things.
I can.
if you
Maybe
get
not-
the exact proof, you get a cigar.
Yep.
Seriously?
He's a
The
proofreader.
exact proof. You have to be exact.
Exact? Oh, I don't know if I can be exact.
Oh,
The draw on my cigar here is a little bit tight. Is
Mhm.
anyone else's a little
yeah,
bit tight?
yeah, mine's tight. Yep.
Not like bad, but it's tight.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's a little tighter than I like.
I think the draw on mine is perfect.
Yeah. Dave, what about you?
I think it's a little tight.
A little tight?
Mm.
So Nick's is either different from ours or
He's got incredible suction power.
he's got.
Well, I am a power smoker.
He is a stoof sucker.
I've had this cigar before.
You don't.
You've had all the cigars. before.
Smoked everything in the walk-in.
I smoke everything in the walk-in, man. Don't tell me I haven't smoked nothing. Well, hopefully we've all smoked this before.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. So the wrapper binder filler is unknown. It is a Toro size, 6x54 we're going with. And what are you picking up on the cigar here, Paul?
A lot of earth. A lot of earth. A little bit of cocoa. Maybe a tad bit of spice.
Mhm.
Pretty smooth. Those are the primary flavors I'm picking up initially.
Okay. Dave, what about you?
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
You got some
Thank
earth
you,
and some-
Dave, for being
Yep.
Earth
so
and some
helpful.
leather.
He is.
Um,
he's so educated.
Oh, gosh.
I feel like the drink is kind of maybe overpowering it a little for me.
Ooh. I don't think so. I think it's just right. I think the
Excuse me
drink.
while I spit.
I think the drink is just right.
You got a little bit
It's
of a.
bringing out. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
It's
overtalk.
okay. It's okay. I'm used to it.
Okay.
It's
You are the younger brother. So.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Getting a slight pepper in the retrohale, warms my nose. It's very smooth. I would say that it's medium minus
Medium minus.
What does
Okay.
that mean?
for strength.
It
Oh,
means-
okay.
Okay. Now, I'll say this about the cigar. It looks like it's burning really well for me.
Incredibly
What's
well.
everybody else seeing there? You got a little bit
little
more
wanky
waviness.
here, but not too bad.
Not too bad for
Wanky?
you.
Little wank.
A little wank
Little
for
wank?
you.
No, not for
and
me. I'm
Good
just-
for you. So two of us have pretty straight burns. The other
That's true.
have
That's
some
good.
Roller coaster.
A little bit of a roller coaster there. Okay. Now, to me, this is, medium body at best.
Mm.
Medium body at best. So,
Yeah.
I can't disagree with Dave's medium minus because at best I would say it's medium. Earthy notes, some cocoa.
I'm not getting
Pretty smooth. Little bit of spice in the retro. I can't get much of a retro because the draw is not all that great for me.
It's not really all that.
Well, I don't know yet, but the draw is not producing a whole lot of smoke. Let's put it
Just a
that way.
tad bit of spice on the retrohale.
You know, I'm gonna
That's it.
make a minor prediction
Oh God.
on the
Here we go.
tobacco.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
It seems to me it might be all Nicaraguan, or a good portion of it is Nicaraguan. I don't think there's a distinct taste there
Okay.
that I don't think it's Dominican, and I don't think it's Honduran. I think Honduran tobacco is going to have a lot more nutty spice to it, like an Aladino or an Aurora.
Right.
Um,
Definitely not Honduran.
definitely not Honduran.
No.
Dominican tobacco is going to be a little bit more bolder, but a little bit more flat as far as the taste goes.
Bolder and flatter.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can comprehend that.
I'm trying.
We'll
to
try and
comprehend
keep up, Nick.
There is some. Yeah, thank you. There is some sweetness there.
it. Yeah.
Definitely earth. Paul, do you get the leather note on that?
Just
maybe,
a little bit.
Maybe
Just
on
a little bit.
the finish you get the leather.
Just a little bit.
And I definitely have to agree with Paul and all you guys saying that it's definitely a medium body. It's nothing over a medium. Really nice. So far, so good. But definitely thinking that majority of it is Nicaraguan tobacco in here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, next question.
Question.
How complex do you think the cigar is?
Not very.
Right now, not very.
Well, what would you say? A scale of 1 to 10 or 1 out of 5?
I'll help you out, Nick. I'll go 1 out of 10.
I'd say about a 6. I'd say about
For
a 6
complexity.
for complexity. I'd say about
Really?
a 6. Yeah.
All right.
I'd say it's up
What's
there.
a-
It's got some things going on with it that I'm
What's-
really
What's a
enjoying.
5?
What's going on
Um,
that you enjoy?
The sweetness, the earth. There is a tad bit of spice on the retrohale, and it is incredibly rich. I don't know
I
if you
don't
get
know
that.
that-
No,
I'm
I
not
wouldn't
thinking
call it
it's.
rich.
But I'm having trouble because I can't draw on it.
that's
that well.
unfortunate. I can draw on this. This is really good.
I'm going to say complexity-wise, it's a 3.
Mm.
Tres. I would agree
3.
with that.
Yeah, it's. I'm just picking up like earth is the dominant
Yeah.
note
Yeah.
with a little bit of sweetness, just a tad bit of
Yep.
sweetness, and just a little bit of spice, and that's pretty
Spice.
much
I've
it.
had this before. I'm trying to pin it.
You only have 1,700 facings in the humidor.
I know, but I know them all.
Narrow it down, my friend.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to picture the cigar in the walk-in, in this shade, in this
Now,
particular vitola.
I'll tell you this too. It's a very flat, flat sheen on the wrapper.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of oils on it.
No.
It's very velvety.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
got some
Velvet.
it's velvety. It's not very toothy at all.
No.
It's not super smooth. And there's no real obvious veins on this. I mean, you can see them,
Mhm.
but you can't really feel them so much.
No.
And the seams are virtually invisible. You can barely see them in the light. But I tell you, so far, the best thing about this cigar is the burn.
Yeah. The
Yes.
burn is solid.
It burns, baby.
It's solid.
Is yours correcting itself some?
A
Paul?
little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Dave, how's your? You're
Mine's
stacking,
perfect. Mine's
stacking
perfect.
some dimes now.
Yeah.
So we got
It's well constructed.
yeah.
Very well constructed.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
I don't know. I think the drink's too strong for it.
what?
I think you're a baby, but hey, that's just my opinion.
I like the drink. I just think it's too strong for the cigar.
Mhm.
You know?
Baby Davy. What? If you were going to take a guess about the brand of the cigar, what would you pick, Paul?
Honestly, I'm at a loss.
You're at a loss.
I'm at a loss.
You're at a loss.
I really don't know what to think.
I mean, I think I agree with Nick. I think there is probably some Nicaraguan tobacco in here.
Well, that
the
narrows
only-
it down.
I'm not
Gosh.
I'm not one of these guys that can totally narrow it. My palate's not so great that I pick out countries. I can't go, ooh, Peru. You can't.
In the
wine,
Peru.
But I can generally pick out what's Honduran, because to me it got its own real unique flavor to it.
Absolutely.
And Dominican tobacco tends to dry out my mouth some. This is not doing that.
Right.
So I'm thinking you're right. I'm thinking this is probably a Nicaraguan blend of something. But
Something.
Is it? Do you think it's all Nicaraguan? Or do you think it's blended with something else?
I think it's a blend.
I think it's a
pure.
blend too. I think it's probably Nicaraguan and Dominican.
I may have to disagree with that one, Paul. I think it's definitely Nicaraguan, but I don't think there's any Dominican in here. I think.
What do you think is in it if you think it's a mix?
Well, I think with Dominican tobacco, with Nicaraguan, if it was a Nicaraguan Puro or something like Perdomo produces, where it's all Nicaraguan but from different regions like Jalapa and Condega, you're getting different flavor profiles there with a lot of deep chocolate, a lot of earth, some wood notes in there, some cocoa notes. This one doesn't really have that, but the sweet note is very different from a Perdomo. I think maybe it has maybe a Sumatra wrapper on it.
Sumatra.
Really?
Maybe. Maybe a Habano wrapper or something.
Maybe
but
Habano.
with the sweetness that I'm getting, I think maybe a Sumatra wrapper. Maybe.
Isn't Sumatra kind of spicy?
I would say that with a Sumatra or Habano, you would get a lot more spice.
Maybe.
Mine has like.
Again, it's just a educated guess, gentlemen.
It's also got 3 caps, and the band on mine was right around here.
Oh, so is it a Cuban? Think it's a Cuban?
No, it's not.
How do you know?
How do you know where the band was?
Because I can see the glue.
So it's down here in the middle of the cigar?
Yeah. You can't see that sheen right there?
I can see the sheen, but
all right, it's nowhere else on the cigar.
I don't think
it's got to be the glue.
I don't think the band was in the middle of the cigar.
Well, that tells you where it is. Yeah.
Does it?
Does it tell you maybe where your mouth was?
Yeah, no.
Wow. Oh boy.
All right. Next question here. What would you pay for this cigar? We'll start with Nick.
Hey.
Yeah.
What would you pay for this cigar?
Would you pay for this cigar?
If you were the guy wanting to move this in a store, what would you want to price it at so that people would buy it?
I'd say probably around the $8.50, $9 range.
$8.50 or $9.
Yeah. I think there's some really nice character to the cigar. Again, I'm still kind of sticking with the Nicaraguan tobacco, maybe a Sumatra wrapper, maybe some Sumatra in there. But I wouldn't go any higher than $9, maybe $9.50, depending on, I guess, the company that's pushing this out or whatnot, because different companies.
It's your company.
Oh, my company, the Nick company. I'd definitely say $8.50.
You can't call it Nick Sticks. That's already
no, yeah, right.
Nicotine sticks.
Nicotine sticks.
Nicotine. Yeah.
Another day, another smoke.
Doesn't feel like there's a lot of nicotine in this.
No, God no.
ADAS. There you go.
Yeah, right there. Artists.
Dave, what about you? What would you if you were putting this cigar on the market?
It's hard for me because
no, it's not.
No, it is because I smoke.
Know anything about business. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
I just like to play games.
Well, no, I've had.
I just got to worry about the recording.
I've had a $33 cigar and I got nothing but air from it. And everybody else is like, "This is amazing," and I'm just like, "It's it tastes just like a white label Ashton to me," and I don't know. So
don't talk about Lauren cigars like that.
I know, right? How dare you?
She'll slap you.
I'm a whore for La Roma de Cuba. That's all that matters.
Yes, you are.
I am, and I don't know. What would I pay for this?
Yeah, what would you pay for this? Quickly, Dave. This is not a dead air based program.
I don't know. I'm
$6.
Yeah.
$6.
$6.
Six on it.
$6.
Paul,
$6 to $7.
$6 to $7.
Yes.
Why does it deserve $6 to $7?
It doesn't have a lot of flavor for me.
No.
I personally would like to see more.
I know what it is.
More flavor, a little bit more spice, a little bit more character
You
to
have
it,
no idea
and a
what
little
it
bit
is.
more
I
complexity.
totally do.
What is it?
This to me is, like you say, medium at best, three at the most on terms of complexity on the scale. It's just a lot of earth without a lot of anything else. So I'd say maybe $6, $7 tops.
Now, Dave, you were saying you think you know what this is. What do you think it is?
I'm not. Well, I told
No,
Nick, so
I
we're gonna
wanna
find
know.
out. We're gonna find out at the end.
I want to know what you think.
I want to.
it is.
I want to say
What do you
anything.
think
I
it
want to
is?
see. I want to be
No.
able to say I was right.
No, what is it? What do you think it is?
What do I think it is?
Yeah, what do you think it is?
I think it is the Chartero Cabano.
You think it's a Chartero Cabano?
Interesting.
Okay.
Very interesting.
We'll
find out.
Here's my thing. Earth is now the dominant flavor of the cigar.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a fair amount of pepper in the retro. I have to suck on this cigar really hard to get enough smoke to put through my nose to get that retro. I'll be honest, I'm not really enjoying this cigar very much.
No, not much me either.
On a scale of 1 to 10, if I were going to give the cigar a number, maybe a 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
What would you give it?
I'd probably give it like a 6 or a 7.
6 or 7. Well,
I
if
think
you
you got a
smoke
different
everything
drink
under
than
the sun.
I'm enjoying. I don't know. The
You're
draw is
enjoying it.
good. The burn's good.
Yeah,
I'm getting really good taste.
I can't complain about the burn. I can't complain about the construction.
The bourbon,
This is there.
the bourbon that Paul is providing this evening is extremely well.
Yeah.
I am enjoying everything all around. I had a great pipe.
Yeah.
We got to speak to Erik. I'm having a really good night.
This is a really good night, but is it a really good cigar? Is what I'm saying.
I think it's a 6.
You
I think it's a 6.
Okay, I'm going to go with 3. You're going to go with a 6. What would you go with, Dave? Scale of 1 to 10.
He's gonna say like a 2.
2.95.
Negative
with
1.
with a 1 being like a, well, I don't know
No.
what you think is a 1, and a 10 being a really great La Aroma de Cuba Robusto.
No. So my
Ooh.
10 is the Placentia Fuerte.
The
He didn't
placenta-
even
the
say it
placenta
right.
Forte?
How dare you?
Forte.
Placencia
Forte.
Forte.
Alma Forte.
Alma Forte,
Chocolate.
what size?
The Figurado.
That's a good
Okay.
one.
So
Yeah.
on a scale of 1 to 10,
Mm.
what would you say this is? Again,
I'd have to
dead
give
air.
it. I'd have to give it like maybe a 4.5.
4.5. So we have a 3, a 6, a 4.5. Paul,
3.
3.
3 on it.
The 3s have it.
3's got it.
So, you average those together, a 4 point something. All right. So let's open up my secret message.
Hold on.
From
Before you do
Sean.
that, let me make my prediction on
Yeah,
this
what's
because
your
I've been
prediction?
thinking about this.
Okay. I'm not putting this over there. Come on, say something. This is not a
All
dead air
right,
show.
all right. Romeo and Juliet, Nicaraguan,
Romeo and Juliet, Nicaragua.
blue label, not the white
Blue
label.
So we're talking blue label.
Yeah, the Reserve Real Nicaraguan.
Oh no, I've had that before.
I know. We all had it before.
This cigar.
Drum
is
roll.
the H. Upman, the banker.
Oh,
1844 Reserve Toro.
I was close.
It is an Ecuadorian Hansen wrapper, which may be
What the
Habano.
frick is that?
I don't know what a Hansen is.
Yeah.
It might be
It's an
Habano.
Ecuadorian wrapper. It is a Nicaraguan jalapa binder,
Yep.
Dominican and Nicaraguan.
So there was
So
Dominican in there.
There was Dominican in there.
There was Dominican in there.
Medium-bodied, creamy, and earth notes. Let's see. Carl Herman Upman and 2 aggressive bankers traveled to Cuba in 1844 and set out to create an incredible cigar for their wealthy clients. They were very successful in creating the factory in the late 1800s, and in the 1920s, their bank and vault held all the cigars burned down, and the factory shut down in 1922. Ever since, many people have tried to and are unsuccessful at resurrecting H. Upmann. So
I was close, man. I was pretty close. I was pretty close.
Romeo and Julieta is an H. Upmann.
They all get sold by Altadis, don't they?
Romeo and Julieta Nicaraguan was so much better.
All right.
Again, that's made by AJ Fernandez, and I've had that a couple of times, and that's a good cigar.
I was way off.
You were way off, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I got the Nicaraguan and Dominican.
I got the
right.
Habano right though.
No, that's not a Habano. That's what is it called? A Hansen?
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Well, what's a Hansen?
I don't
It's a
know.
Habano.
I think he means Habano. Yeah, it's a Habano wrap.
Ha.
Okay. And let's see.
And what's the retail for this?
That's where the sweet.
Oh, it is about $8.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Looking up what the retail price here is on
But
these.
Sean really dug deep into the humidor.
Yeah, he did.
Because I never would have thought. Well, anything's possible since we have 1,700 facings, but I thought it would have been something that maybe have been more of not to put this down, it's just more of a mainstream type of cigar that we may have encountered more of,
Well, this is amongst the Altadis, Romeo and Juliet's and Upmanns and all the people that look for those type of cigars. This is one of the cigars that is often asked about when they're looking for Upmann cigars.
Let me see here. I'm trying to remember what this cigar.
I think you need to just take out the 1844 and just put the banker.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, it's that one.
This one here.
Yep.
Yeah.
The green label.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. And of course, they don't sell cigars by the singles. Let's see here. Okay. Feel free to keep talking while we're.
So I'll tell you what the pairing is.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me see if I can get
Get the exact ABV.
Yeah, ABV boy.
Exact proof, man.
Here we go. Feel the burn. Feel it. Nick, you are the alcohol.
I'd say probably about 100. I'd say 110.
Close, but no cigar.
What do we got?
Okay, so there's a little bit of a backstory to this.
Oh, I like
so
backstories.
today, when Kendra came in, she was bringing
The potion master.
she was bringing her shopping. She went to the liquor store and was bringing a lot of liquors to fill the lounge upstairs. So, anyways, I was helping her with that, and she goes, "Oh, by the way, this." Okay. Excellent.
So the cigar retails for around $8.
All right.
So we were right on what they were asking for it. I think $8 is kind of a ripoff.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay that much.
I wouldn't pay that much for it.
So anyway, let me just tell you what the pairing is. So anyway, she was saying, oh, the liquor store in Hooksett on the highway at the rest stop has this specific bourbon that's available, but you got to call and reserve one because it's going to go very quick. And she told me what it was, and I immediately called them, placed my order. After work, I shot up there, got the bottle, brought it back here, and I wanted to share with you guys.
Oh.
It is the Weller Antique 107.
No.
Yes.
What does that mean?
It's what does that mean?
It's a good one.
It's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that gets released only a couple of times a year.
Yeah.
It's not as hard to find as Blanton's, but it's right up there. They were pretty much I guess they had went through their entire allotment, and it's made by Buffalo Trace Distillery,
Okay.
which makes the same as the Pappy Van Winkle Blanton's.
Those
I definitely think that
those bottles up there,
I see.
Yeah.
those
Yep.
are Wellers.
I definitely think that the bourbon was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for
much-
sure.
Very, very smooth,
Much better than the
fruity,
cigar.
spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just
I
a
gave-
lot of flavor with this.
Flavor.
And again, it's 107, so you're
Now-
3 points off.
I was
Nick,
close.
Pretty
You-
close.
You kind of were close on the proof, but did you think it was good,
The
or did
The
you,
bourbon?
Do you just
it was disgusting.
does the bourbon, is its goodness or badness only dependent on the proof for you?
No, most single malts that I drink, which
That's
are
not a single malt.
I know it's not a single malt. I'm just
Don't
saying.
talk
You're
about
saying
it like a
if it's
single
good, if it determines. I think it's good determining on the proof, and it's not. Most single malts that I drink are going to be 80 proof, so I don't really go. And most of the time I do. I pick
Yes,
the
you
strongest
do.
bourbon that's
If
out
it's
there
not 100 something, you don't drink it
most of the time.
most
But
of the time.
this being at 107, Paul,
107.
107.
Yep, 53.5% alcohol.
It's fantastic.
I love what Heather.
This
I love what Heather just commented. She goes, "Everyone and their brother has been posting Weller picks today. I should have guessed it
Yeah, probably.
because it just came out.
Yeah.
It just was really.
And this is actually
Well,
one that
well,
I've
well.
been kind of hunting for a little while
You
now.
were.
So
Well,
yeah.
now you can say you had it.
Yep, and it's delicious.
Mm-hmm. I concur.
Thank you very much, Paul.
You're
Heather,
welcome.
You don't need to give Dave a talking stick. You need to give him like a handkerchief or something.
Yes,
So that he can-
a respirator.
Not inhaling.
Maybe some good drugs.
Inhaling alcohol is a bad idea.
Yes. Most of us who are in our 40s and 50s have figured that out.
I'm neither.
Yes. Nick's in his 30s.
I am the youngest here at this panel
Yes.
at 35.
We know that for a fact.
Yes.
Oh my. Now, having figured that out, what does this tell us about the effect of branding and name recognition on the cigar in this particular case?
That naming and brand recognition doesn't mean anything.
That's Paul's impression here.
I don't-
Because H. Upman, I like H. Upman cigars. I really do. I've had several of theirs, and they're really, really good. The Connecticut Broadleaf,
Yeah.
the Connecticut, the H. Upman AJ is fantastic.
Yep.
This one just unfortunately
Well,
doesn't live up to the hype.
see, I think that's not knowing what the cigar is. You can kind of get into a mindset of, then you're comparing it to your personal palate. If you know the cigar, you know what to expect from it, and you can enjoy it just because of what you know it is. Like some days you might just really want like a mild cigar, and I think this would be a great morning cigar with a cup of coffee. I think it would be, probably more like a 6 or a 7 with a cup of coffee in the morning.
Is that Dunkin' Donuts coffee, Dave?
No.
Because then it would be a
No,
great
it's
pairing.
Lousy cigar with a lousy pairing of coffee. Yes. Very good. Nick?
Donut shop coffee.
Donut shop. I think it's a good cigar for the price. H. Upman with Altadis bunched in with Romeo and Juliet and Monte Cristos. I think this is a really good cigar on an entry level of that caliber of price. When I look at H. Upman, it doesn't really there's not really hype there for me. If it was a Romeo and Juliet #2 or Monte Cristo #2, that for me, that's a lot of hype there. But this one, I never saw that there's a lot of hype. I think it goes really great with what they're saying, what they're trying to put out, and the price point that we have it at. Because I know it's like about $8.50, $9.
So let me ask you something. With
Yeah.
a company like Altadis, which is a big company and it's owned by even a larger conglomerate,
It is,
okay?
yes.
And they obviously market their cigars to the extreme, just like all the other
They do.
big boys
I
do.
think this one,
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen it marketed quite.
Not like Monte Cristo, not like
Right.
Romeo and Julieta. Okay, we understand that. But if you go on to these online sites, you'll see, the Banker and the other lines there that are under the Monte Cristo and Romeo and Julietas as well, and they get a decent amount of hype. But you had to go to those sites to see that. That's why we get a lot of customers who come in and asking for this. I think that's, unless they get it from some other cigar shop that's pushing it.
True.
I think that's where they're getting it from. But and again, I'm just going to use this as an example. The cigar that I love wholeheartedly at roughly the same amount of money,
Yeah.
the Illusione Cigar Privé, which gets no hype.
It gets none. Other than you.
Other than me or anyone else who smoked it who likes it, that goes to show you that the marketing and whatever hype they give it doesn't necessarily live up to.
Well, I think in that aspect, it's, and again, this is my personal opinion about Altadis, about all the cigars that they have in their portfolio.
Yeah.
You have, you know what I mean? If you're comparing Illusione to Altadis has an unbelievable portfolio. They got Monte Cristos, which you have every line of Monte Cristos. You have Romeo and Juliets. They now, push out Aging Room. Aging Room is huge there. And you have H. Upmann. That's a huge portfolio. Illusione does have a really good portfolio, but not as extensive as Altadis. So with all those lines, I would think that you would have to do a little bit of hyping up to get the cigars out there. Because if not, then those cigars ain't going to sell. You know what I mean? In my personal opinion. And most of the cigars, other than Monte Cristo is kind of like their higher end stuff. Romeo and Juliet's and Upmanns are going to be around the $8 to $10 range, which I think is pretty good for the cigars that they're producing. I don't think it's a lot of hype behind them. I think the hype behind them is a lot of people try to line them up with the Cuban side of that. I think that may be, something that a lot of consumers do. But as far as the cigars go, I don't really think there's too much hype on the H. Upmann side. I think there's more hype on the Monte Cristo and Romeo and Juliet side.
Well, here's my opinion on this.
Go ahead.
My opinion on this is, I don't see how this cigar helps H. Upmann, the brand.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because it's there's nothing that stands out about it. It's a very bland cigar.
Yep.
I don't think so.
And I think it's there's nothing special about it. There's nothing that makes it speak to me. I could smoke any number of cigars that have a similar profile, and I could spend the same amount of money on a cigar that had that same country blend in it that would be better than this cigar.
Mm-hmm.
I think, when you're talking about the Banker, the whole backdrop of that cigar is you're trying to create a wicked, awesome thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think they created a wicked, awesome thing. I think they created an okay cigar. The construction is fantastic.
Right.
The construction is on point. And, it's not like the cigar is a complete, it's not that it stinks, but it's just not, it's just another cigar to me.
Okay.
It's
Look at the cigar we had last week, the Charter Oak Connecticut Broadleaf Grande,
Yeah.
for $6. And look at how awesome that cigar was.
Definitely had way more flavor.
And that whole line doesn't get the recognition in the cigar world that the Altadis line does.
Right.
So, and they do. I'm sure they don't have the budget to do the marketing. They don't have the money that.
Well,
Altadis
you're dealing with a large company. Altadis is a large company. They have the money to do the marketing. They have the money to hype up these cigars. And I definitely agree with all of you guys saying that the cigar is probably hyped up more than any other cigar that's underpriced. The Charter Oak, the Illusion, 724 for that matter. It's definitely more hyped up. For me, is it a good cigar? Yes. Is it better than the Cigar Privé? Absolutely not. Is it better than the Charter Oak Broadleaf? No. Will I smoke it again? Yes.
See, I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe for a second that you would go and say, you know what? After that podcast and smoking that cigar, I'm going to go get me a banker.
Well, why wouldn't I if I'm enjoying it now?
Because I don't think that
I'm gonna go and buy a box tomorrow.
I don't think you're enjoying it as much as you enjoy other cigars for the same amount of money.
No, I totally do. This is delivering taste to me on my palate that I am definitely enjoying. And like I said, at the $850, I personally feel comfortable buying something like that. Will it be in my rotation? More than likely, alongside the Cigar Privé, alongside the Maduro Charter Oak, and everything else in the walk-in.
Yeah. Kurt, if you're hearing this,
oh God,
a month from now, I want you to check the cigars that he's bought at the store and see if there are any bankers in there. And if they're not,
I want to see your personal humidor too.
Yeah. Now this leads right into my
12?
cigar confession for the week, which really ends up being a lot of questions for you guys. Several years ago, before I was at Twins, I was given a shade undercrown to smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of excited about it because I saw those, online all the time. They were all over the place. There's big buzz about it. And I smoked it. And I was very underwhelmed by the cigar. And I posted a picture of it on my Twitter account and said, undercrown, underwhelming. And that post garnered so much backlash.
Oh, well, there's a lot of people that support Drew Estate
from the Twitter community. They could not believe that I did not like the shade undercrown there. And one person said, Undercrown has an incredible following. They sell tons of cigars. It's got to be good. And I replied saying, Budweiser sells tons of beer. That doesn't make it a great beer. And the point is, I didn't think it lived up to the hype. Now, that said, how do you stay objective about judging a cigar is really good or not? What's the difference between knowing a cigar is good but just not your taste and thinking that a cigar just is not really all that good?
Well, I'm going to go first on this because
go for it.
I had a lot of people. I sold a lot of them, the Atabays, and I've sold so many of them and upsold them and told the story and all that. But I'd yet to have one. And then my brother Dan bought me one for my birthday last year, I think it was. And I was so excited to smoke it. And when I smoked it, to me, all I got was smoking air. I didn't get any flavor. I was like, how could anybody even remotely enjoy this? And I was so let down. And for me, that kind of opened up my mind to when I'm describing a cigar to someone, I really need to stick to the essentials of it, of where it's from, what it's made out of, and appeal to that person's palate. Because majority of the people that I know love that cigar. You know, and for me, it's just not for me.
Right.
You know, and that was a very important lesson for me to learn.
Yes. And it's good for me to know too that I don't have to spend that much money on you for a birthday present.
Right. You could have saved like $28 and got him a Robusto.
Got him a La Roma de Cuba. Yeah. Here's
Yeah.
$5, Dave. Here.
There you go.
LADC.
Thank you.
Oh, Dan, that's awesome.
Oh, best present ever.
Well, for me, the cigars that a lot of people come in and there's a lot of hype on is can I say this? I feel really bad saying this.
I don't know. What are you going to say?
I'll
tell you if you can feel bad about it after you say it.
Cohiba?
Yeah, Cohiba.
Yeah. The Dominican ones, not the Cuban ones. And at the price that they start at 20. And I've tried a few of them in the past, and they're not for me. There's a bunch of people that come in, buy 2 or 3 at a time. I've seen customers come in and say how wonderful they are and how great they are. And at that price, you're spending $20, get a Plasencia. In my opinion, that's a way better cigar, in my opinion.
They may not appreciate that though, man. They may not have the palate to really understand the complexity of how those cigars are.
True.
You know,
for me, a lot of people come in and you see it in magazines and you see it online, and you know how gracious and how great Cohibas are, and the taste of, you know, the old days, and to me it's an overpriced cigar. It should be at $10. I'd rather smoke a Macanudo than have a Cohiba, in my opinion. For me, that's not my cigar. Sorry, I'll spend $20 on a Plasencia all day.
Well, I'm with you, Nick. I'd rather have an H. Upman Banker for $8 or $9.
There you go.
Than a
I'd rather spend like $10
$20 Cohiba Toro
and get a
Tubo.
Hustler Gorda, Corona Gorda.
You'd rather get a.
Wow, Paul.
I'm not going to stick with our humidor. I'm actually going to go a lot further out there. I'm going to say that the Cuban cigars today are all hyped up, and all you hear today when you hear customers come in is how they scored Cuban cigars through a friend, or they went on a trip overseas and they got Cuban cigars at the port, or you know, they went to the Dominican Republic and they got Cubans, or they went somewhere and it's the best thing. I can't believe, you know, this is so good. I'm like, no, they're not. Most Cubans today that you're getting at your resorts or at your ports and all that are so inferior to what Cubans used to be. And a lot of them are fake, Dave.
Well,
You're
yeah,
absolutely
there's
right.
a lot of fakes out
You're
there.
absolutely
Only
right.
90% of like Cubans that are sold out there are fake.
Yeah,
90,
and I think it's they get it in their heads that because it's Cuban, it's awesome. Because it's Cuban, it's the best thing since sliced bread. They've held out it's like the unicorn for a lot of these people that they've achieved it. They've actually grasped it. They brought it home. They're smoking it. It's the best thing. And, oh, do you have Cubans here? No. And I try to explain to them that Cubans are not made today and haven't been for a long time as they were in years past. And you'd be hard pressed to find a really good Cuban, specifically if you go to the resort areas. You're not going to get real thing. And I think that's the real hype. That doesn't live up to it. At least if you know anything about them, like we do, you know that they're not what they once were.
Right. No,
and you're spending $20 to $30 at least for them.
And that's true. I mean, and that's, you know, I have to try and hide the smile when somebody comes back and says, you know, my military buddy got me this box of Cuban. It was $75. And, you know, I'm like thinking to myself, at Habano stores in Cuba, they're $20 a stick, $400 a box.
Yeah, at the least. At the least.
Yeah.
And you say you got this box for, you know, $75, $100, $150.
For 4
And
cigars.
it just, you know, I'm not going to argue with them. I'm not gonna, but there is this perception that Cuban tobacco is the end all be all of human existence. And having had really good Cubans, I've had cohibas that are made, specifically for Spain. They get the best.
Well, didn't you learn like under a Cuban?
Yeah, Jorge was Cuban, but yeah, I've had Cubans that were $65 a stick,
Mm-hmm.
and
They're not cheap.
I would not pay near that much money for that cigar. It just, and when you think about that, $1,500 for a box
Yeah.
of Bohikis, it's just, and when you smoke them, and I know because the guy who bought the box shared them with me, let me know, about a third of them, the draw was bad. It's $65 a piece.
Well, the quality control is out the window.
It is, and so it's true. I mean, don't get me wrong. Cuban tobacco has a very unique taste, a very unique flavor profile, and it burns differently than anywhere else. And if you love that flavor profile, you're probably going to really, really enjoy Cuban tobacco very, very much. That said, there is a lot of quality control issues that go on. I'm not, when people are like begging for Cubans to come back, Cuba does not want Cubans to come back to the United States. They would not be able to keep up with the demand. They can't keep up with it now. And the United States consumes about 1/3 of all the cigars that are made for the earth, this one country. And Cuba's this little dinky island with like two different areas where tobacco is grown.
No.
They can't keep up with it.
No, they have to sprout them and send them overseas to be grown because they don't have the room for them.
Right. And then it's grown somewhere else and then brought back and produced over there, and that's one of the dirty little secrets of the cigar world, and, but I'm very happy with the tobacco that's produced in Nicaragua, the Dominican Republic, Honduras, Costa Rica. You can get great world-class cigars that you could compete with anything out of Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
And with cigars from Cuba that would be considered wicked awesome cigars, there's still, you can get that same kind of class from other countries, and you don't have to pay, what you're paying for those.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, yeah. So, do I need to say anything more?
No.
I don't think so.
No,
I think I'm done.
I think that horse is dead.
Now, let me ask you guys something. When there is a lot of hype and excitement around a cigar that's coming out into Twins, are you more likely to hop on the bandwagon, or are you more likely to be cynical about that cigar?
I guess it depends on who's making it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I've had a really good experience with a specific cigar manufacturer, and I like the majority of what they make, then I'm more than willing, once we receive it in the humidor, to get it and try it.
Like the Fuente and Padron collaboration, I'm kind of excited for that.
I'm not.
Why not?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know. I just have.
But you smoke everything, Nick.
I do.
You think this Banker is a freaking fantastic cigar?
I never said it was a fantastic cigar. I gave it a 6.
You think it's a fantastic cigar for $8-9 that will be in your rotation?
It will be, because it's under $10 and I'm cheap. But I'm kind of excited, but not excited, because a lot of great cigars that came out of the Fuente factory, you have to age. In my personal opinion, you have to sit on them a lot of opuses, and like we experienced when Orlando was on the show, he gave us opuses, which I'm extremely grateful for Orlando and giving us those opuses. But they were from when? 2015. They were unbelievable. But again, he's been sitting on them. He's been aging them
in bourbon,
so they're gonna taste differently. I've had a lot of opuses that were pretty much fresh out of the box, and they were underwhelming. I think that's one of the cigars that probably we didn't mention that maybe does need to be mentioned is maybe in the opuses. That if you get an opus, sit on it. Don't, in my personal opinion, don't smoke that right away. If you are, that's fine. It's your $20. You can smoke it whenever. My personal opinion, if you're gonna buy an opus, sit on them. If you're gonna buy a box, sit on them. Let them age for about a year. And then 2 or 3 or 10.
I totally believe that opuses are definitely like a box buy, and it definitely is something you should intend on aging.
Yeah. I think it's kind of a toss up with that cigar with Padron and Fuente collaborating. I'm not really excited, but I kind of am. I know the cigar is going to be good, but how long are you going to have to sit on those things? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not really intrigued about it. I know probably the price is going to be extraordinary.
Well, it's all going to charity, so yeah.
Of course. But I'm not really too excited about that cigar, though.
I will give an example of a cigar that got some hype in the last month, and we finally received it in the humidor within the last week or so. Has been from Foundation, the Tabernacle David and Goliath, and the El Uense 5-year anniversary.
I totally agree.
All 3 cigars were outstanding.
Yep.
And as a matter of fact, the Tabernacle Goliath is my favorite Tabernacle. That absolutely lived up to the hype. And the Anniversario was just as good, too.
It was fantastic.
I think the Perfecto was, in all 3 sizes, was the perfect size for those cigars. And it brought out the great flavor, the Connecticut broadleaf on the David and Goliath, and then the Corojo with the El Uense was all 3 sizes are my favorites in that line.
I agree.
I think it absolutely lived up to the hype and more.
I like the what was it? The Christian Aroa Signature Series.
Signature Series.
Yeah, those are good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too high in price.
Yeah.
But it's still a good cigar. I would still, for me, I think my favorite is the first 20 Maduro at $13-14. That for me is just a fantastic cigar. But his Signature Series is pretty good.
Yeah. When I see a cigar come in a wicked fancy box,
beware.
Or, when I see it come in an obnoxiously huge label that's like gilded with gold and silver,
Superfly,
all these other, colors and things. And that's all meant to be eye-catching. It's all meant to make you think, if the cigar is wrapped like this and put in a box like this, it must be freaking awesome. I look at it and I go, they're hiding something. I have to admit, seeing that, to your point, Paul, Cigar Privé comes in
just a box,
a real plain wooden box with this, very simple blue label, Cigar Privé, and it's really good. I love the 1874 series of 724.
Yep. It's old school.
It's just an amazing cigar.
Yeah.
Wicked simple box. The band has its fanciness to it, but it's not over the top.
Nope.
And it's a great cigar.
I think another one is like the Leaf by Oscar. I mean, I think a lot of people look at that and be like,
cigar.
I don't think I want to smoke that. I'm like, well, you got to unwrap it first. And I'm like, oh, a lot of people don't get it that it's wrapped in a tobacco leaf.
That's very sad.
And I think it's a great cigar.
But there's a cigar that actually had it's not obnoxious, but it's eye-catching, and the box is kind of eye-catching too. Was the Superfly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that cigar to me was fantastic.
to all
It's
of
one of our
us.
favorite cigars that we've had last year.
We thought that was the best cigar of the year.
It was
last
the
year.
cigar of the year, and it lived up to what hype it had, and the eye-catching band, 70s retro, and it was just a absolutely phenomenal cigar.
All right. Well, Paul, you have some news for us this week?
News
do.
with Paul.
That's fantastic. What news might you bring up?
So, cigar groups ask court to invalidate the FDA cigar regulations
No. Say it isn't so, Paul. Say it isn't so.
in an election year.
In an election year.
which is still going on.
It's still going on.
The E word is not allowed to be spoken.
Okay. The cigar industry is once again asking a federal court to throw out FDA's regulation of cigars. In fact, the plaintiffs in the lawsuit are asking the court to evaluate a position that the trade groups have previously argued for. Last week, attorneys for the 3 cigar trade groups in Washington, D.C., based lawsuit Cigar Association of America et al. Versus United States Food and Drug Administration et al. Asked the court to once again evaluate their Fourth Amendment complaints. The complaint centers around whether the U.S. Food and Drug Administration acted improperly during 2014 through 2016 when it was considered whether to regulate premium cigars or exempt premium cigars from upcoming regulation. This is hardly a new issue, but last year the parties agreed to table this specific legal issue because for a time it appeared the FDA was nearing a point where it might provide more clarity to the regulation.
Right.
Rather than continue to spend resources fighting the matter in court, both parties agreed to halt the legal fight over that specific issue in hopes that the FDA might provide further updates which would either change or the details of the legal challenge or render the issue moot. The two sides continue to argue over other issues like warning labels, the product approval process, and user fees. Now, the cigar trade groups are arguing that FDA does not appear to act quickly, and as such, they want the court to evaluate their claims of whether FDA acted properly. The groups hope the court will throw out the rule in its entirety for premium cigars. These claims are likely to embolden given what took place over the summer. In August, right before key September deadline was set to go into effect, the Department of Justice announced that FDA was planning to indefinitely delay a major product approval for premium cigars while the agency evaluates the issue further. Ultimately, Judge Amit Mehta of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia ruled, more or less, in favor of that plan. Mehta's ruling requires FDA to go back through the process to determine whether there should be a more streamlined process for the premium cigars. While Mehta's ruling does not necessarily mean there will be a streamlined process, FDA could go through its reevaluation period and conclude the best way forward is the same process it proposed in 2016. He seems skeptical of the way FDA came to its decision. That will likely be a common theme of the most recent complaint, particularly after an early August hearing where Mehta was rather critical of the FDA's process. The most recent complaint is once again in front of Mehta.
So we can hope that since the FDA really has not done much since these rulings and does not appear to be doing much, that maybe that's going to bolster the plaintiff's case that this whole thing has no really clear direction to it at all and should just be thrown out.
Yeah, it's just like it's just hanging out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like they said, they're not acting swiftly, and they're spending money to try to get this thing through, and it's just hanging out there. There's no real timetable for this.
Yeah.
It's indefinite. What does indefinite mean?
Mm-hmm.
It could be years.
It will be a dream come true if this goes away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's time for Would You Rather question?
I do. I do think it's time.
Okay. Nick, we'll
Yes.
start with you.
Oh, thank you.
Would you rather have X-ray vision
Ooh.
or super hearing?
Dang.
Dun, dun, dun.
Probably super hearing. So I can hear everything. X-ray vision doesn't really
Come on, Nick. Tell
spark
the
anything.
truth.
No. X-ray vision,
We all
man.
know his wife would kill him if he had X-ray vision.
Yeah, probably. Super hearing.
Super hearing,
So I can hear everything.
so you can hear everything.
Yes.
That's deep.
That's super deep.
That's super deep. Dave,
I'm
X-ray vision.
X-ray vision.
X-ray
hands down.
vision.
And I don't want to hear nothing.
Why?
No.
He
Why?
wants to see everything.
He wants to see
I'm
everything.
a visual guy.
I'm
I
He's a
just
visual
want to
learner.
see. I want to see everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not really kind of guy. I like to see everything.
Ugh.
You sure?
Yes. I would rather see.
Because you're not going to be able to unsee that.
Yeah, that's I just go back to like the time when like Superman was a kid and he was panicking because he couldn't shut off all the noise. I would never want that freaking to happen.
But what if it does happen to you?
So that's why I chose.
But he
vision.
also could not see what he was seeing as well.
I'd
he
rather
had no control of that
I
either.
would rather go through that than being overwhelmed with audio.
I don't know. I have Danny. I have these earmuffs that I use at the
Earmuffs.
range. I swear to God. So I have these earmuffs that I use at the range.
Have these earmuffs.
Earmuffs
That I
don't
do.
help against tinnitus.
So they have a microphone on them
Yeah.
that you can adjust the volume. And a lot of times me and my friends will be out and do some trigger time, and we'll have the headphones on, and I'll turn it all the way up, and to hear nature at that level is incredible. You can hear everything.
Please fart.
Okay. Yeah, but silent. But to hear nature in its true form, to hear every bird, everything, everything, all nature.
But it's
is
all
incredible.
in your head. It's not what you're hearing out there.
But it is. It's amplifying what's outside.
Including the noise of shooting the gun.
No, when you shoot, it blocks the noise out. That's the point of those headphones.
So you hear everything but what you're doing.
Correct.
Okay. Paul?
X-ray vision.
Woo!
Because my vision stinks. And any help is much appreciated right now.
But what if you still you could have X-ray vision, but you still needed your glasses to actually see?
That's
I'm
not
sorry, hon. I can't quite tell. It's blurry. Come a little closer.
I think it would be fun to see what goes on in other rooms without opening the doors. You know,
Yeah.
I think it would be fun.
I guess so.
You know, you don't have to be dirty about it. Just inquisitive.
What's inside that bank vault?
I mean, we live in a it's a condex, and it's a big house that was split into two different condo units, and our neighbors are just quiet as can be. I never know what's going on next door.
You just need to know.
And no, but I'm just not that I don't want to pry. I just like, what the heck's going on there?
So yeah, he really wants to pry.
No, I don't. I'm seriously. That's just a joke. I think it would be fun to have X-ray vision.
I think for me it would be super hearing.
Yeah.
I think I'd be with Nick. I'd love to hear what's going on.
Really?
Yeah.
Where?
Everywhere. I think both of those is a double-edged sword, because it's nice in theory to have X-ray vision and to have super hearing, but if you can't turn it off, which this is telling me that you can't, it's constant. Then it's a double-edged sword. Then you're hearing everything. It'll drive you crazy. If you're seeing X-ray vision, you're seeing through the wall. Your depth perception. Depth perception.
Your depth
perception is completely off.
Being a father of 3 girls, hearing what's going on, is very important.
Yes.
I don't want to see what's going on, but hearing what's going on could be very helpful.
It could be.
It could be.
Well, you can always look away You can't always shut it off.
Well, you can always, block your ears. You could try to block your ears.
So, what's our final verdict here on this H. Upman Banker, the mystery stick?
Mediocre.
Mediocre.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good cigar.
I'm
Underwhelming.
It's a fantastic mediocre cigar.
For $8, there's a lot of other cigars that we have in the walk-in that would completely crush it, I think. If it was $5-6, I guess it could be a competitor.
If it was $5-6, I'd still smoke a Nick stick. I'm serious.
I know you are.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's our show.
It's okay, Nick. It's okay. It's okay. Now, next week, we're going to flip it all around and do our top 5 episode, where we will, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, the upcoming holiday, each share 5 cigars and 5 tobaccos that we are most thankful for this year. I am really looking forward to that episode.
Really?
Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
Oh, it is mine too.
Yep. So make sure that you are following us on Facebook so that you get notified when these podcasts are going on live, and Not Just Blowing Smoke on Instagram, so that you know everything that's going on and you never miss a thing.
Never.
This is Pastor Padron. Thanks for being with us tonight. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Another smoke, another day.
You've been listening to Not Just Blowing Smoke, the podcast that brings the wealth of knowledge, expertise, and fun of Twins Smoke Shop, New England's premier smoke shop, right to you, wherever you are, whenever you want it. You can find us at our website, notjustblowingsmoke.com, and keep in touch with us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at Not Just Blowing Smoke. Thanks for listening, everybody, and that is Not Just Blowing Smoke.
Rolling with the top down, smoking on a fat cigar.